Hello everyone, it's Josh Vision. I'm here to give you my Vikings Season 5B Episode 11 review. So this episode was pretty intense. We start off with Ivar, Visick, and King Harold making their way into Kattegat. Ivar announces that he's the new king of Kattegat, and you can already tell that a few people in the town are just like so fearful of him already. We basically we get to see where Beyond I'm about to say Beyonce, where Bjorn, Lagatha, Ube, and Torvi's at. They're basically in the same location that I believe Rolo and Siggy and young Ube and Visick and some of the people that was able to survive Yalborg's Kag attack a few years ago, are at. They're basically over there 20 years later. So we have Bjorn and everyone trying to figure out their next move. Lagatha feels though that this isn't the end. It can't end like this, and they have to find another way to try to get back, and take Kagge back from Ivar. But Bjorn's like, we don't have the manpower, and Ivar probably has his scouts already looking for them as they speak. So Bishop Hegman comes up with the idea of let's go to England. I'm sure King Ethelwulf will help you guys, and he wouldn't mind, having you guys join him as long as you guys help take out Ivar and other Northmen, that comes at them their way. So everyone's talking. I believe Ube even says that, well, they could take up the land in East Anglia, which was their original purpose, from the get-go. Besides that, I believe we also see his wife. Yeah, his wife, Marguerite. So she's actually with the pigs, ironically, which even though she was kind of crazed and she was very ambitious, I thought it was kind of messed up how Ube literally left his wife, went to Torby, and just left her like literally in the pig pen. We have Torby giving Margaret some food, like that's the best she can do for her, and Margaret said basically, "I will kill you, bitch, for taking my husband," so on and so forth. So Ube says to Marguerite, we can't kill her or whatever. And Marguerite's like, okay, so what should we do with her? So Ube comes up with a brilliant idea of essentially leaving her to her own devices. We have Rolo coming back into Kattegat, and it was interesting. Before that even happened, we had a celebration with Ivar, Visick, and Harold. Everyone's drinking, everyone's fighting. Visick's really enjoying this, by the way. We have Ivar at one point pissing on Lagatha's throne. We have Harold being obviously distraught, thinking about it. He lost his brother and his wife and their child. And him and Ivar having this conversation, and Ivar was like, hey, life goes on. There's plenty of people you can have to replace, your wife and all that. So we have Harold give a toast to Ivar for being the new king of Kattegat, and then we see the slave from last season and Ivar make contact, and it's clear Ivar's still enamored with the slave. So after that, we have, like I mentioned before, Rolo comes back. He comes to the Great Hall, and then eventually he has a basically little one-on-one with both Harold, Visick, and Ivar. They're talking about the battle that happened. Visick mentions the fact that Ube spared his life, and then Rolo said he's not surprised with that. They also talk about, I believe, Harold killing his brother, how distraught he is about that, and Rolo also mentioned the fact that he tried to kill his brother before. And it seemed like everyone kind of looked at Ivar, in my opinion, because since we all know that Ivar was responsible for Sigurd's death. But I believe Rolo was asking Ivar what was bothering him, and Ivar talked about the fact that Lagatha was still alive, that he swore on his sacred ring that he would personally kill her. After that, I believe when everyone's asleep, Rolo and his main man, I'm assuming, since that'd be the only reason why he would bring him along with him, they head towards Bjorn and Lagatha's hideout. And during these scenes in the episode, we find out that, which we kind of knew from the season, it was kind of hinted at, that not only did Rolo and Lagatha actually have an affair, or that they were former like lovers, but this wasn't just like, okay, Ragnar and Rolo were young, and so was Lagatha, and they were finding out literally to see who would be her man. and they may have slept with her once in a while, but Ragnar ultimately won her over. It turns out that even when Bjorn was a child, which I'm assuming to about even like early beginnings of season 1 of Vikings, that her and Rollo still had a sexual relationship with each other, even while she was married with Ragnar. Which makes me wonder, was Ragnar aware of this and he just let it slide? Or he was not aware of that? But either way, this adds more depth to the whole thing with Rollo, Lagtha, and Bjorn. Um, he asks Lagtha, he says, well, he tells Lagtha, you know Bjorn's my son. And then she doesn't say anything. He says, if he is or he isn't, tell it to my face. She doesn't say anything. So once again, I believe Lagtha honestly is kind of like 50-50 about it. It could be Rollo's, it could be Ragnar's, which is basically the same sentiment Bjorn has when Rollo speaks to Bjorn about it. Bjorn's like, you could be and you couldn't be. Then again, who do I look like? Whose spirit do I have? Whose personality and morals do I have? I have Ragnar's. So I'm most likely his son. And either way, you're a traitor. I want nothing to do with you. You betrayed us numerous times. And you helped Ivar fight us and defeat us, which I could have died, Ube could have died, and Lagtha could have died. So screw you. So we have Bjorn basically after that leaving towards back to his hideout, discussing what to do with Ube and Lagtha in regards to Rollo. He's like, I'm just going to kill him. You know, he'll die happy man if he kills him. So we see Rollo speak with the bishop, you know, trying to have the bishop sort of pray for him for all of his grievous sins. Bjorn comes out with his axe. He's almost stopped by Ube and Lagtha, and Rollo yells at him and says, no, let him do it. And then Bjorn's about to do it, but he says, no, you're not worth it. You're not worth, you know, wiping all the blood off my axe for hours for. So after that, we are brought back to Wessex. And in regards to that, King Alfred makes his first proclamation as king. He says basically that he has men working on forts, watchtowers, and so on, and to build a new navy for when the Vikings come back to attack Wessex. He also says that in regards to his realm, those are both the, you know, basically the common people will have the same opportunity to learn and gain knowledge as the nobility. And some of the people don't like that. They feel as though that goes against the church's will, the spirituality. But King Alfred's like, listen, Rome and the church, you know, that's their spiritual matters. But every man has a right to gain more knowledge and all that. And surprisingly, he was backed by his brother, Aethelred, I believe. So I believe also there was a Viking army that was coming towards Wessex. So he basically gives command to Aethelred to be in charge of the army and take these guys out, essentially. After that, we have a talk between Alfred and his mother in regards to how to keep him safe, and she feels as though he should start making children and having a wife. But Alfred at this point is like, he doesn't want one right now. He'd rather deal with the Northmen and then talk about that stuff later. But his mom's like, all right, I'm already in the process, so yeah, deal with it. And then he's like, why am I not surprised? So after that, we have basically Rollo speaking yet again with Ivar, Visick, and Harold. And he says basically, since he helped Ivar, Visick, and Harold defeat the army of Lagtha, Bjorn, and Ube, he wants a tribute basically. And he wants to have 500 warriors from them in case he's attacked. So I'm guessing Rollo's kind of saying to himself, there's a possibility that Bjorn's probably going to want to actually kill me in the future, so I'm going to need as much help as I can get. You know? And also, by the way, now that I mention it, I also had to mention the fact that after the whole Bjorn situation, Rollo did say to Lagertha, this will be the last time that we shall meet. So maybe Rollo's going to die this season, to end the season. So, either way, the demands Rollo made, Ivar said they're kind of high, you know, and they're really basically they're overkill. But Rollo's like, listen, is either take it or leave it. So obviously Ivar agrees, and also by Ivar agreeing, Rollo tells Ivar where Bjorn and Lagtha were hiding. So Ivar gets there, but they left, and he's obviously pissed off. But then he notices that Marguerite is there. So he brings Marguerite back to him with Kattegat, and Visick remembers her, and Visick basically, I believe, picks up Marguerite and takes her somewhere. Because clearly she's tired, she's been treated like crap, and she might be sick or something. So Ivara's like, "What are you doing? She might kill you." And then Visick sarcastically replies, "I'll take my chances." So in my opinion, that was a shot at Ivar saying, "Listen, you already killed my brother. You already killed mad people. I'll take my chance with this one." And then Ivar's like, "Seemed like you're going crazy." And it was kind of interesting because as soon as Ivar said that, Harold stares at Ivar. So after that, we have this really good scene between Ivar and the slave girl, whose name is Fridis, I believe. And we're seeing her observe Ivar having his leg, basically his little leg brace put on, and how painful it is when Ivar's, guy that's helping him do it sort of makes a mistake that causes Ivar a lot of pain. And Ivar is so close, you guys, to killing this guy on the spot. He had to stop himself at the last moment. All right? To the point he had to say, "No mistakes next time." The guy said, "Okay, okay," and he runs away. So Ivar and Fridis have this really interesting conversation. Ivar talks about how she basically wants to give praises to Ivar for being special and all that stuff. And I was like, "I don't know how." He said, "Even if I am, every day is a struggle. It's like he has a war. There's always a war between, in his inner self. And that he really can't trust anyone." And he asks her if she's single, and if she's married. And she said she's not married, she's single, and that she would do anything for Ivar, even die for him. But it's interesting the way she looks at him, and like her mannerisms. I feel as though she probably does care for Ivar, but I feel as though Ivar's kind of met his intellectual match in a sense, like the female version of Alfred in a sense in terms of the intellect. It seems as though that she's playing chess with Ivar. I feel as though she cares for him, but at the same time I feel as though she kind of has this Machiavellian kind of approach, like, okay, I care for him, but if I have to take him out, I'll take him out. But she seems like she's going to be a very interesting character as the season progresses. So we end the episode with Bjorn, Lagtha, Bishop Hegman, Ube, Torvi, essentially taking the ships, I believe, over in King Harold's lands and heading out to England. But before we get to that, we have this interesting conversation between Bishop Heckman and Lagtha, that basically says once we get back to England, that even if King Ethelwulf accepts, her and Bjorn and company as warriors to fight on his behalf against the Danes, that since Bishop Heckman is a bishop, he has to be celibate, that they can't live together, they can't have an open relationship, essentially. But he says to her, despite that, he can't stay away from her, that he's enamored with her, that she's a remarkable woman, and that he loves her, and she basically said the same thing to him. So we end this episode with him finally getting to England. Bishop Heckman's told by Alfred's brother Ethelred that King Ethelwulf is dead and that Alfred is the king. So as they're making their way to Winchester, basically you have Bishop Heckman and Ethelred on their horses leading the army, and Lagtha and Bjorn pretty much and Ube and Torvi and and Bjorn and Torvi's children in a cage, similar to the very cage Ragnar was in when he was in Winchester. Well, he was at Wessex about a season ago. So we're left with a little bit of a cliffhanger about what's going to happen to them. And that's all we got for this episode, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Adios. And if I missed anything, write some comments down below.